Thanks, Keiser. I'm here with James Turk, director of GoldMoney Foundation. Today we're going to take a look at the history of fiat money, inflation, and economic collapse here in France.
We're going to look at two specific episodes, Max, where the currency collapsed twice.
Twice. Hard to believe. France's first experiment with fiat money lasted only 5 years, but it left deep scars. In 1715, Scottish financier John Law found a willing succor in French regent Philip d'Orléans. Louis XIV, the Sun King's wars and extravagance, had left France heavily in debt. His successor tried in vain to square the budget, but expenses doubled income. Drastic cuts would have to be made unless another solution was found. John Law, heading up the Banque Générale, started issuing banknotes. He said this would guarantee liquidity and increase commerce. The bank invested in some hot properties, including the Mississippi Company, whose shares traded right here on Rue Quincampoix. Shares jumped, as did the value of the banknotes. And then, in 1718, the Banque Générale became the Banque Royale, and they issued even more shares. The economy boomed as paper wealth became widespread. In 1720, John Law was made Minister of Finance. But that same year, the bubble popped. The shares started to fall. Law's solution was to issue more banknotes to attempt to prop up the share price in rapidly increasing amounts. The notes started to trade at a discount to metal money. The government started to panic. They issued more shares and forced a state pension account to buy more shares. That didn't work. People started to hoard more gold and silver. The state went door to door and confiscated it. In just a few short months, the shares and the banknotes, now held by virtually everyone in France and held in all the pension accounts, became worthless. And the entire country went down the drain. Oh, and by the way, if you really wanted to insult somebody, you called them a banker.
I'm James Turk. I'm a director of the GoldMoney Foundation. And it's my pleasure to be speaking with Pierre Jovanovic, best-selling author and noted historian. I think there's a flaw in human nature that we're always thinking that there's a free lunch in this world. And a free lunch comes one way from printing money, but in reality, there is no free lunch, and printing money ultimately leads to a financial or monetary crisis, which is what happened with the Mississippi bubble. Yeah. It ultimately, the stocks, the shares of the Mississippi Company rose. They eventually collapsed. What were the consequences of that collapse?
The consequences were tremendous. First of all, the French people never believed too much in paper. They thought it was nonsense, you know, to accept paper instead of physical gold or silver. And then there was a kind of mini revolution started. There was the company, the Mississippi Company was Rue Quincampoix in Paris, and there were like thousands of people, you know, coming and striking just in front. So they wanted their money back, and they were like, I think, if I remember well,
it was a bank run.
Yeah, it was a bank run. Yeah. So everybody, and the bank run started with the people who were very well informed. It started with the people around the king, of course, and then progressively, like it took like 3 or 4 days, you know, to go down. The information went down to the people.
So what they were doing is they were trying to take this paper, which is based nothing but promises, to redeem them for actual physical gold and physical silver, because the tangible asset ultimately has value, and paper is only based on someone's promise. And they were fearful that those promises were worth nothing, and in fact they were worth nothing.
So don't forget, you know, in the beginning they said that the Mississippi was the promised land, if I may say that in English. So it was filled in, like in some biblical city, you know, or filled with gold mines and silver mines and apples in gold on trees, you know, something like this. So people really fantasized about it, you know. So everybody wanted the shares of this Mississippi company, and to the point that it was such a success that John Law issued more action. Of course, more shares yeah. Than available. So, but that's a very common thing. You know, we saw that through history.
After the collapse of the Mississippi bubble, what was the impact on the French people? Was it throughout the entire country or just within Paris?
No, it was definitely throughout the whole country, because don't forget the law. Who forbade the French people to use gold coins and silver coins were extremely active, and people all over France were thrown in jail. And at the time, jail was very specific, so it was really a nightmare. So people were really scared because everybody went nuts. There was just this anger against the politicians. We cannot use the term politician because at the time it was the aristocracy.
The monarchs.
The monarchs who were there. But the anger of the people was already there. And this anger is going to be demultiplied, and which will give not only the French Revolution, but also the terror period, you know, 3 years later, when they will take everybody and just send them to the guillotine. So this is, it's like a maelstrom of anger, of people who have been stolen from their wealth, for which they worked all their lives.
The country's best minds come here to the assembly to make impassioned speeches, but the crushing debt is a problem.
70 years later, France again turned to paper currency. How could this happen?
For a whole year, this debate raged between paper money and hard money. Food prices continued to rise. The guillotine started to work overtime.